Hey guys, welcome back. So first off, this is not a sponsored review. I purchased both of these products with my own cash money. So hopefully that buys me some shred of credibility with this comparative review. So for the past few months I've been dicking around with these two fuel additives, and I think I've gathered enough data and information to give a fair comparison of these two products. So I've got this review divided into two sections. The first section I want to go over my rock hard scientific data, and then the second part I want to give you my dangerous and subjective opinions on the pros and cons of these products. So first, let me talk about my mile per gallon increase with these two products. When I started this, I did a baseline of my 2010 Mercury Grand Marquis, and I got 26.246 miles per gallon. And keep in mind, as with my previous videos, my testing procedure is very methodical in that I drive a pre-planned test loop, and I keep the vehicle on cruise control at 66 miles an hour. And so 99% of the driving is at that highway, 66 miles an hour with the cruise control, and the other 1% is exiting the freeway and heading back to the gas station. So with the Lucas, I got 27.836 miles per gallon, and the MMO boosted it to 28.503. So the Lucas gave it an increase of 1.59 miles per gallon, and the MMO gave an increase of 2.257. And to put that into percentage points, the Lucas gave me a 5.7% increase in fuel economy, and the MMO gave me 7.9% increase in fuel economy. So what do these two numbers mean? Well, to make sense of this, I've come up with a little formula that only applies to my vehicle and my driving conditions. You know, if you want this formula to work for you, you're going to have to plug in your data, how many miles you drive, and what your miles per gallon is. So to make sense of this, I've come up with a formula based on driving 15,000 miles, which is what an average U.S. driver drives a year. So the cost, or 15,000 miles of driving at a conservative 20 miles per gallon for my vehicle, will use 750 gallons to drive that 15,000 miles a year. So again, to make sense and to compare these two products on equal ground, a gallon of the Lucas is approximately $24, and a gallon of the MMO is $15.52. And both of these products have different mix ratios. The Lucas, as directed, you need to add 3 ounces for 10 gallons of fuel. And the MMO, you need to add 4 ounces for 10 gallons of fuel. So just to let you know, that's a mix ratio of 427 to 1 for the Lucas, and 321 to 1, or 320 to 1 for the MMO. So right off the bat, the MMO is a much richer mixture, and the Lucas is a much leaner mixture. So that means for the year, for 15,000 miles of driving, I'm going to need 225 ounces of the Lucas and 300 ounces of the MMO. So that's going to cost me $42 to run the Lucas, or $36 to run the MMO. So 15,000 miles at 20 miles per gallon is 750 gallons, and right now in California the cheap stuff is hovering right around $4 a gallon. So that's $3,000 for the year on gasoline cost. Now the Lucas at 15,000 miles with that 5.7% increase will give me 21.14 miles per gallon. So that's going to reduce my usage to 709 gallons. And the MMO is going to give me a 7.9% increase. So that should give me 21.58 miles per gallon. And that's going to give me a reduced consumption of 695 gallons for the year. Now we've got to factor in the cost of the product, 42 for the Lucas and 36 for the MMO. So this is what I came up with. The adjusted fuel savings with the cost of the additive is going to be $121 a year with 15,000 miles of driving. And the MMO is going to save $183 over the course of the year. So the difference is MMO will save an additional $62. So either one of these products is going to it's going to pay for itself. The MMO just does a little bit better. Now, what are you going to do with this amount of money over the course of a year? You're probably not even going to notice it, so just do nothing. Put it right back in your pocket. So based on this test data and based on these results, the MMO is a clear winner. It gives better gas mileage, it's cheaper to run, and it'll give you a better cost savings over the course of a year. Now, if that was it, I would be stocking up on this MMO, but that's not the case. And now I'm going to get into my dangerous, subjective opinions. And I think we all know what those are worth and where I can stick them. So the first thing that I would like to mention is the overtreat issue. This Lucas has no ill effect on an overtreat condition, and this MMO does have an overtreat issue. And let me show you what I mean. So I went over to the Lucas website and I printed off their information here, and it says right on here, Lucas, exceeding the recommended dosage is not harmful to your engine. So what that tells me with the Lucas is there is no overtreat issue if you accidentally overtreat by a few ounces. I'm sure if you dump in the whole quart bottle, if you bought a quart bottle, you'd have some problems. But if you do that, I think you might have some other issues. Now, when it comes to the MMO, this is from their website here, and it gives me some conflicting information, and I take issue with this. So the question here is, can I use more than 4 ounces of MMO, or no, excuse me, can more than 4 ounces of MMO be added per 10 gallons of fuel? And here's their answer. Tests indicate that 4 ounces to 10 gallons of fuel is the optimum level to use in fuel according to engine tests. Using more may increase vehicle emissions or trip a check engine light in emission-sensitive vehicles. So that right there tells me if you use too much of this stuff, it may cause you to fail a smog check by increasing your emissions or causing your check engine light to go on. And I don't know what an emission-sensitive vehicle is. That's up for debate. And I found this on their website. This is on the same page under General Info. And this question right here is, will MMO cause damage to sensors? And their answer is no. MMO has undergone rigorous testing to ensure the safety of all internal components in your vehicle, including highly sensitive oxygen sensors, fuel sensors, and catalytic converters. So the reason why I say that's conflicting is because it kind of contradicts what this question on their top 5 questions. So what that tells me is you better not accidentally overtreat with this MMO, or else you may have problems with increased emissions or getting your check engine light to come on. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is do these products have an offensive smell or odor? Now, I know what you're thinking, why does that matter? These are not air fresheners, you shouldn't be breathing these in the first place, but it does make a difference when you're mixing this, or when you're putting these in your smaller bottles, and if you spill it on your hand, or or God forbid, if you spill this in your trunk, because if you're like me and you take long trips and you're going to be refueling on your trip, you're going to need to put some of this in a smaller container and keep it in your trunk or in your car. And if this stuff spills in your trunk, it might be a bit of an issue cleaning it up and dealing with the smell. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, the Lucas, I can take this cap off the bottle and I can stick my nose in there and I can breathe it, and the offensive odor is marginal. It definitely smells like something, but it definitely does not cause any ill effect or reactions like making my eyes water or anything like that. So this Lucas, I'm gonna say it's somewhat benign or gentle on my senses as far as my nose and my eyes. Now, coming over to the MMO, this is a completely different story. When I take this cap off and I just put my nose near the top of this, boy, let me tell you, the first whiff of this, it gives me that York peppermint patty sensation of peppermint and cinnamon and potpourri. And by the second whiff, it's triggering flashback memories to when I was a 10-year-old boy making model airplanes and using that Tester's model airplane glue. And by the third whiff, I'm completely loopy, and this stuff is starting to give me a migraine headache. Now, of course, this is only me and and it also makes my eyes water. Now, of course, this is me, and if you're sensitive to smells or any VOCs like this, this is going to be something to think about, because when I was at the gas station, I didn't spill this, but I touched the tip of the bottle I was using, and I got this stuff on my finger. And at the gas station, I got a paper towel and I wiped it off, and I even dipped my finger in that nasty windshield wiper solution and tried to wash it off. And when I got home, I smelled my finger, and it still smelled just as strong as it was when I got this on my finger at the gas station. So then I got into the bathroom and I used soap, I used shampoo, I used a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and up for the rest of the night, for about 12 hours, I could still smell this on my skin. And I really didn't appreciate that. So, and that was just, a drop on my finger. And I was thinking about, just imagine if I had gone on a long trip and put this bottle in my trunk, and this whole bottle had spilled in my trunk. I would be destroyed. I would be devastated. I would probably have to, sell the car, because, once that would soak into the carpet of the trunk or anywhere else, you'd have a dickens of a time trying to get it out. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the sulfur. Does this product contain sulfur? On the Lucas, I'm going to say no, and on the MMO, I'm going to say yes, and this is why. On the Lucas here, it says right here, I'll read this to you. This is right on the bottle. This diesel fuel additive complies with the federal low sulfur content requirements for use in diesel motor vehicles and non-road engines. And I even found it on their website that's got a similar statement on here. It says, Lucas fuel treatment complies with the federal low sulfur content requirements for use in diesel motor vehicles and non-road locomotive and marine diesel equipment engines. So what that tells me is there's no sulfur in here, or if there is sulfur in there, it's on a below detectable level. Okay, now let's talk about this Lucas here as about sulfur. Right here on the bottle, this is going to be too small. It says this diesel fuel additive does not comply with the federal ultra low sulfur content requirements for use in model year 2000 and newer diesel motor vehicles or model year 2011 and newer diesel non-road equipment engines. This product, when used per directions in ultra low sulfur diesel fuel, will increase fuel sulfur content by 1 part per million. Now 1 part per million doesn't sound like much to me, but if you're using this on an application where sulfur is an issue to you, that may be something to think about if this is going to add sulfur or using a product that contains no sulfur. So that might be something to think about. Okay, so the last thing on here is, does this have a cancer warning? The Lucas, no. The MMO, yes. So the Lucas, right here on the bottle, it says warning, cancer, www.p65warning.ca.gov. To learn more about Marvel Mystery Oil, please visit the website. So that tells me this, you do not want to get this on your skin, and prolonged exposure to this product is going to give you some ill effects. I looked for that same warning on the Lucas, on the bottle, and on the website, and I could find no warning. So not to say that this Lucas is not going to give you cancer, but you know, it's either at a detectable or an undetectable level where they don't need to put that warning on the product for it. So if that's an issue for you, for your application, that might be something to think about. Okay, so which one of these products is the best? Which ones should you buy? Well, that's going to be an answer that only you can answer for your application, and hopefully I've shined a light on some of the issues with the gas mileage and some of these pros and cons I've given you. So hopefully you can make an informed decision with that information. Now, I also do want to touch on, you know, some of the other issues or some of the other benefits that I think that these products can give you. And of course, both of these products are going to add lubricity to your fuel, and I think that's going to help you out with preventing rust and corrosion in your fuel tank. It's going to prolong the life of your fuel pump, and it's going to keep your fuel lines and your fuel injectors clean from those small micron particles that are getting passed through your fuel filter. And of course, not to mention the upper cylinder lubrication benefits of, you know, cleaning the back of the valve, top of the piston, and the top portion of the rings and the cylinder walls. Okay, so that's my comparison of the Lucas fuel treatment and the Marvel Mystery Oil using as a fuel additive. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.